Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. I'm Oorah Charlap from the Rebbetzins Network, and I am here together with Rebbetzin Serebrowski and Rabbi Mushaiev. We want to thank SRT for Shidduch Roundtable for having us here, giving us this opportunity to share with you and answer some questions, and hopefully provide some clarity to the Shidduch process. For those of you who may not know, let me just tell you quickly who we are at the Rebbetzins. It was originally created for Bali Tshuva, and as we know, the Shidduch process is so difficult, even for people who have so many connections. You can imagine how it is for people who don't have those connections, and therefore it was a very important addition to Oorah that they opened up that department to help the Bali Tshuva in their quest to find a wife or a husband. And Baruch Hashem, today we're servicing the mainstream FFB crowd, as well, and we have over 1,400 members. And Baruch Hashem, thank you so much for all the amazing volunteers that we have. Over 100 volunteers that are shadchanim and coaches and mentors, and they help out with, whether it's running the shidduch or helping with places to go and where to go and how to go, and coaching them through the whole process. And of course, in regular Oorah style, everything is free of charge. Very important for you to remember that. I would like to introduce you, first of all, to Rebbetzin Serebrowski. She is the director of the program for over 10 years. And she is really the heart and brain of everything that goes on at Rebbetzins. Whether it's the mentoring, whether it's the referrals, whether it's the meeting singles, whether it's the coaching, talking to parents, talking to shadchanim. She is really like the heart of the whole entire thing. And when she meets singles, she will remember everything that you ever told her, so that is a good thing to remember. And besides for doing all of these things, and arranging events, and arranging all kind of shadchan meets, etc., she also writes for the Yated's Shidduch Forum every week and answers questions over there. So we're very happy that she's able to join in this roundtable to answer some questions. And one very important thing that I don't want to miss out is that Rebbetzin Charlap married off all her kids, Baruch Hashem. And as we all know, experience is the best teacher. So she's my inspiration. I am so happy to be able to be working with her now since I joined as the assistant director. And it is a pleasure to be with her, and I really consider her my very close friend.
Well, thank you. I'm blushing in case you can't see, but I'm really blushing here. It's really an honor and a privilege for me to be involved with the Rebbetzins Network. I work with amazing people all the way from the top. It's incredible the work that the Rebbetzins Network is able to accomplish. And Baruch Hashem, that is probably due to all the wonderful volunteers that we have, the amazing team that we have. And I enjoy what I do. It's a pleasure. We just actually came back from Passaic from a Vart just about an hour ago. It gave us a lot of nachas. This girl had been in the program for about 10 years. I didn't want to say it. She was the one that said it. And it was such a nachas to be part of a simcha of someone that was searching for a very long time. And I really hope that we can be helpful tonight in answering some of your questions. And I don't know if anybody wants to hear what I have to offer in terms of the best advice, but the best advice that I can offer in terms of dating is that before you start dating others, date yourself. Get to know yourself. That is the biggest gift that you can do to help yourself in getting to the chuppah. You have to know your values, you have to know your goals, you have to know your personality, you have to know what you need, not necessarily what you want. what things have contributed to make you the person you are today. What are your strengths? What do you still have to work on, and what kind of a person could help you get there? So I really believe, and I think some of these questions are going to come back to this same issue in getting to know yourself. I think that could probably solve a lot of questions and answer a lot of questions that people may have.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Serebrowski, or Riesel. She does not like to be called Rebbetzin, so I'll try to be respectful.
It makes me think of my mother or my mother-in-law. Yeah.
But anyways, by us, Rebbetzins is actually a cool thing, you see? Rebbetzins is not like this, like necessarily the stereotype of what everybody thinks it is. Rebbetzins, in Oorah, Rebbetzins is cool.
Can I get up and show them the back? I want to get up and show them the back. They see that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what
Just so
we do.
you should know. Okay.
Okay, now moving on, I would like to introduce you to Rabbi Mushaiev, who joined the Rebbetzins as co-director about 2 years ago. And fun fact about him, he speaks at least 3 languages and understands at least 5. Now, maybe I'm a little bit off by the numbers, but he's definitely an open-minded person, I would say. Besides for meeting and keeping in touch with singles all the time and planning events and just getting like just things done for the singles, he also has a very good flair for style, Baruch Hashem. So he makes sure that our flyers are perfect and that our marketing materials are good. And Baruch Hashem, like that gives us, I guess, a good representation out there in the world.
Okay, so thank you so much for that introduction. I guess what I wanted to share, for this forum is, we're going to be talking about a lot of different advice and different ideas of that we can implement in our own life. But I think it's important to say that, it's important that each person should have a Rav, a mentor, and somebody that they really speak to that guides them through Shidduchim, because a lot of times you go to listen to this like really good speaker and really good dating coach, and you say, this is the person that I'm going to ask my question to, and you go over to them, and they see you for about a minute and a half, and you're presenting your question. There's no way for that question, for the answer that they're giving you, to be able to really fit the whole picture that you have. You aren't able to give over really all the dynamics of everything that the question presents, and therefore it's really unfair for them to be able to give you personalized advice. They can give you general advice, but something that will be able to guide you as to what should be your next step is something that will be challenging for them to do, and I think it's really unfair to put them in that position. Therefore, it's very important for each person to have a Rav, a Rebbetzin, like I said, or a mentor that they speak to and is guiding them through this process. And therefore, in the Rebbetzins, because we understand this great need, we're committed to provide all of our members that are requesting such help. We are committed to provide them with mentors, which are usually mothers, Rebbetzins that have married off their own children and have experience in going through the Shidduch scene, and it's something that it's a must and is important for every single person to have. So I just wanted to put this out there. We're going to be giving general advice, and if you have a specific question, you should reach out to your Rebbetzin or rabbi, or reach out to us after this forum.
Okay, thank you. Now, a lot of you sent in questions for us to answer, and we have them here. We're going to try to get to as many of them as we can, and hopefully we'll be able to still take some live questions towards the end of the program. So, Razel.
Yes.
Can I call you Razel?
Yeah, please.
Okay, good. This is a question that came in from somebody. In the insular environment we were raised, how do we know when we're attracted to someone specifically, or just that we're attracted to be in a relationship with a guy?
Or a girl, right?
It was a girl that asked the question, I guess.
Say it again.
How does she know that she's just excited about it because now is her she's having a chance to be together with a guy when her whole base Yaakov, she wasn't, I guess.
Right.
Or if she actually likes him specifically and there's some value in this relationship that she should pursue.
Well, you're not going to know until you try. So I think that she has to ask herself, again, know yourself. If you have answers to yourself, like what am I all about? And does this guy meet all my needs? I think that you can kind of separate, is this just that I'm excited to be with a guy, or I'm dating because of marriage purposes and I want to investigate this?
Okay, Rabbi Mushaiev, is it acceptable to go to a dating event or a singles chill if you're going on a third date with somebody?
Okay, so I guess this is a question that comes up a lot because there are really a lot of events that are out there, and for the typical extrovert, it's like a social scene. It's enjoyable. It's like a place to meet people and network with people. I feel like sometimes singles almost like enjoy these, like sometimes guys would come after an event and say, wow, like it was such a good event that like I really want to come back next time. So sometimes people get carried away with going to events. So I think our general policy is that if you have been out on one or two dates and you're kind of like not sure where this relationship is going, and you're still like exploring whether you are enjoying spending time with this person or not, then the recommendation is that if it's an event that could give you a lot of resources, you can still go. But once you have already a third date scheduled and this looks like it's something that might work out, it's better to stay focused and really try to make this work.
What if they meet the guy that they're dating when they go to that event? What's going to happen then?
So the question just is, do they want to be upfront and discuss with the shadchan, there's this event coming up, can we make up between ourselves that we will go, with the thought that we may not find anybody and that we're happy with where we're at, they could make that up.
I think it's awkward, but okay.
It could definitely be awkward.
But we could have different opinions, right? Because there's a lot of people out there, and for different people, there's different answers that are appropriate.
And again, you know what? You do not know, you don't know the circumstances and specifics of each person. Like we said, you have to ask a shaila and get the answer that's appropriate for you.
Okay, based on today's status, what if somebody's parents did not do enough research before the boy or girl goes out on a date, and then after a few dates, something comes up that's bothersome? Are they allowed to make more calls to find out more information about that person? Who wants to answer?
I'll answer.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. As information comes up and you have a question, there's no reason why you can't do further research. It's not a done deal till it's a done deal. And if other information comes up through the dating process that brings question marks, definitely look into it.
Like, don't be shy.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. At which point does reference calling become too excessive?
I have a story of where somebody did absolutely no research. Absolutely none. I had invited a guy to come to my house for Shabbos, and on his way, he was traveling from North Jersey to Lakewood, and on his way, I had this amazing idea, and the girl lived in Lakewood, and I called up the girl's parents, and I said, I have an amazing guy that's coming to me for Shabbos. Could I set your daughter up with this guy for Motzei Shabbos? And I guess they trusted me, and they said, okay, what's one date? The boy came to my house, he knocked on my door, and I said to him, let's say his name was Maishi, Maishi, do you trust me? And he looked at me and he said, I guess so. I guess I trust you. I think
You're cautious. You probably trust me cautious.
I think he probably thought that I wasn't going to let him into the house for Shabbos if he wasn't going to answer yes. I said, you have a date, Motzai Shabbos, you can come in. Anyway, we even set him up with a tie and whatever, okay? Baruch Hashem, I think it's almost 3 years later, 2 kids, Baruch Hashem.
Wow.
So that's that. I mean, of course, they did research afterwards, but I mean, it happened without any research. So anything is possible. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the driver in the
I was just going to say also that a little bit this ties into, again, what you're saying about knowing yourself, that when you're doing that information, like a lot of times people come and ask us, can you give a list of questions that we should ask when we're trying to do research on somebody? You know what your information is that you need to know is not the same as the information that I need to know, or that you need to know, or that someone else needs to know. So it's not really like that. It's not like, reference calls and just keep asking everything. You have to know, like you said, know yourself. And know, for me, it would be a big, big problem if the girl is not organized. I can't live like that. For me, that's a big problem. So you have to find that out. Now, for somebody else, that's really not an issue. So obviously, you don't keep on doing reference calls to cover every single question that anybody might ask.
Right. But also, I want to mention that when is too many reference calls too much?
Yeah.
The answer might be that if you, let's say you made 4 phone calls and the information is consistent, how many more phone calls do you have to make? Like, ridiculous.
Right. Okay, good point. Next question. Is where you want to raise your kids a reason to stop dating, or could that be figured out later?
So I think that if the place where they want to live or the place where they want to send their kids is really a deal breaker for them, and that it's not something they're willing to compromise on, so then I think it's really something that should be discussed with a Rav and really seeing if they could come to some sort of an agreement, or whether this is something that they'll kind of agree to disagree.
Or if it's so important, they should really do that in their reference checking.
Right.
Okay, if you hear that
The person.
you were with a certain guy or girl and they have a broken engagement, like, is that something that you need to pay attention to?
I think that you just have to do maybe just a little bit of extra research, and just, I wouldn't call it a red flag. I would just say that you just have to just see whether you can get to the bottom of it.
Okay, we dated 5 times. On paper, everything is good, but I don't have any feelings. Should I continue to date?
I think, personally, I think that you can try a little bit more, but if really, it depends how many dates.
5.
5 times? Have they tried all different kinds of venues? Because sometimes people will come back from an exciting date, a fun date, and they'll say, wow, like it was a game changer. So I think there's a lot of variables that need to be considered. Like I say, I can't give a flat answer here. It really depends on a lot of different variables. I mean, in my opinion.
Okay.
Okay, we'll take another one from the crowd. How does a person, whether it's a guy or a girl, know that they're ready to start shidduchim? What is there a sign? Is there something that they have to know about themselves, or how do they know they're ready?
So basically, we will go back to what you have said from the beginning. If you are mature and you're of age and you are independent and you're ready to move on with the shidduch process, think about who you are, what's important to you, what your strong points are, and what you think you really, really need. And if you're up to that and you've made that, you thought yourself out, then sure, why not? And to shidduchim.
But to think about also what the responsibilities of marriage are.
Of course.
Are you up to that? Are you ready to take that on? Like, some girls just want to get married. Like, they've been dreaming of a wedding gown, like, for decades. So, like, whatever.
So it depends also. If she's like
yeah.
19, then probably she'll just figure it out.
Yeah. Why is there this minhag that the guys have to meet the girl's parents, but the girl's parents don't meet the guy? No,
I
the
don't
girl's
think
parents
it's,
meet the guy.
honestly, I don't think it's a mid-hug. I think it's just like, you're going to pick up a girl.
I was just gonna say, you're going to pick up the girl from her house.
Yeah. Let's
And, you
not.
know, by the way, her parents live there. So, you know, you're just gonna knock on the door and
Yeah.
who's gonna answer the door? Either her mother or her father. And they'll pull you into the dining room where there's a plate of nuts and chocolates that nobody's touching. And yeah, that's the way it goes.
I actually look at it that the guy should be so happy that he's getting to meet her parents. Like, she doesn't get to meet his parents, and like, she doesn't see the whole picture.
I actually had one instance where one of my boys was dating somebody, and he was describing her, and then he said to me like, "Oh, I wish you could just meet her." I said, "Okay, I'll meet her. Bring her to the house, and we'll meet her." And she just has to understand through the shotgun that this is not indicative of anything. So, but I knew then, after I met her, I knew what he was talking
Right.
about. No, he did not marry her.
Okay, brave girl.
If I understand the question correctly, I think her question is it okay for her as a girl to initiate this? Like, this is something that is usually reserved for guys to initiate. Like, the guy's asking the girl for her number. Like, if she's seeing potential in this relationship, could she initiate to ask for the guy's number?
But wait a minute, isn't that usually done through the shot? Like, the shotgun is involved in that process, telling the boy it's okay, she's okay if you ask for her phone number.
Right.
It's not something that you throw at someone. They
Right.
kind of have to be
I
prepared.
think it's a little bit forward for a girl to take that place, you know? Like, when she gets married, if she knows what marriage is about, I think she should realize that that's her husband's job.
Yeah,
Certain things.
I agree with that. I think it's the guy's role to initiate such a gesture, and like you know, Rebbetzins Serebrowski said, I think it's something that should be, I think, clarified with the shotgun. Like, I'm planning to ask her, you know, for her number. Do you think
Is
it's
it okay?
You know, is it okay? So she shouldn't be caught off guard. But regardless, even if she is ready and he's ready, I think it's the responsibility of the guy to initiate that request.
I agree.
Okay. Do you want to take another question?
Yeah, let's take a question from the. I guess, regardless if it's a girl or a boy, if I'm a Baal Tshuva, do I have to marry another Baal Tshuva, or is it okay for me to marry, or is it okay for me to ask to marry a from birth girl or a guy?
Okay, so I'm very happy to answer that question. That came up at the Rebbetzins retreat in May.
Ask the rabbi.
And as the rabbi, and absolutely, you are, if you're a Baal Tshuva, and if you are understanding the culture, and you could get along with a FFB girl, which a lot of our Baal Tshuvas are boy, the way around, with a lot of our Baal Tshuva members are very integrated and really get it. Of course, you can be set up with a FFB girl or boy, not a problem. Sometimes though, like a Baal Tshuva will get upset that a certain particular girl doesn't want to go out with him or her because he's a Baal Tshuva. And that, I think, is, people have to understand that it's just the same as anything else in life. If some, girl says, I don't want to go out with a guy that has a smartphone, so then she has to accept that he doesn't want to go out. She doesn't want to go out with him because he has a smartphone. You can't, I think it's kind of in the same category that people have a right to their preferences, and don't get upset or sensitive if someone says no to you because of that. But as far as do marriages happen and do FFBs marry Baal Tshuva, 100%.
100%. And not even just from today, from years before, years ago. Yes.
Is it okay to pull out your phone on a date and check the time? Just make it quick.
What do you think?
I think you should be wearing a watch.
Okay.
No, but also,
Go ahead.
yeah, but is it okay? Like, it might be a little awkward also, like to look at the time while you're on a date. Would that make the girl feel like maybe he wants to finish, like maybe he's bored? Is that an indication of anything, or you shouldn't interpret this to mean anything?
Yeah, I don't know that you have to interpret it to mean anything, because I know that one of my daughters had gone out with a guy and he was looking at his watch, and later on, I mean, he ended up being her husband, but later on, she found out, he just wanted to know how late it was
Oh.
because he didn't realize, he said, wow, the time passed so quickly. So he was just looking at his watch to
Right,
see.
like I asked you just now what time it is, because we're trying to pace ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not insulting.
Yeah.
Okay, so if he's looking at his watch every 5 minutes, that could be an issue probably, but.
And as we're talking about phones should be off or in airplane mode during the dates. No taking texts, no taking phone calls. That's very, very important. I think it's like a given, but unfortunately it seems like a lot of people are still, this issue keeps on coming up.
Okay, can we just take a
Wait,
break
can-
now for a second and
wait,
ask them a
I just-
question?
I just want to ask,
Yeah.
should girls be carrying cell phones on dates? What do you
They
think?
should have a cell phone with them.
Sure.
They should have a cell phone.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Because in the days before pockets and dresses, where would they put a phone? But, okay,
Take a
Baruch
bag.
Hashem now. You mean a purse? Oh, okay.
Let's ask you a question now. Make it a little bit more interesting, maybe. Anybody who's willing to, just quickly put in an answer. How would you measure? We want your feedback. We need this.
Private message.
Yeah, everybody should private message. Yeah.
Okay. How would you measure a shadchan's credibility?
How do you measure? Huh? 'Cause
How do you
most of-
measure a shadchan's credibility? This is for us to learn something about you.
Okay.
No names.
Okay.
Just responses.
Just responses.
Yeah.
So first response is experience. Experience shadchan. If I know that they have been in this for long enough, they have credibility in my eyes. Okay. By honesty, revealing info.
Okay.
Personal experience. If my friends vouch for them and say good things, and I know they made shidduchim, then I feel comfortable working with them. Oh, that's an interesting one. How many divorces resulted from their setups?
No setups.
That shadchan.
I have to say something
Yeah.
here. You know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu picks the shaliach who is going to make shidduchim. And you're dealing with adults, supposedly. They make choices in life. And if, for whatever reason, it doesn't work out, that's also min hashamayim. And that also is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So nobody can point a finger, really. I mean, once you introduce them, if you had an agenda and you pushed them and they didn't want it, I mean, it's still min hashamayim, but it could be like,
You could say she's a very pushy shadchan, so be careful.
yeah. But I don't know that that's indicative of anything.
No, I think that's in general.
Should we tell everybody what this noise is?
Yeah. This is we have parrots here in the Oorah office, so they are very excited about the Shidduch Roundtable discussion, and they also want to ask questions, but we're not taking questions from them as of yet. Okay, so I think what was the question? Oh yeah.
No,
So
yes.
we're talking about the divorce.
Yeah.
The divorce. So I think I tell this to the guys and the girls that ask all the time, like, oh, if you make a suggestion to us, does that mean that you're vouching for them or whatever? So I always try to tell them when a shadchan reads your shidduch, of course they, based on their understanding of the half-hour interview, whatever it is that they had with that particular person, they think this might be a good idea. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's your responsibility to do the research and to really find out whether this is a suitable candidate for you. You can't come back, 6 months later and say like, is there a return policy?
But again, it comes back to my message. Knowing yourself, know what you need, not necessarily what you want. Again, know your values, know your personality, know what your strengths are, know what you're deficient, know what type of person will help you become the best person you can be.
Okay, so we have another one, an interesting one. He said, if the shadchan asks me targeted questions, I feel like she has credibility.
Okay.
If she gets to know me personally, and if she is able to listen to me without judging me.
Okay,
Okay, thank you everybody.
that is our specialty, non-judgmental.
Yeah.
That's it, exactly. We have another important question that somebody wrote in that seemed to be very perturbed by, and that is, he wants to know why, when I'm learning in yeshiva for a half a day and working half a day, maybe I'm okay to go out with a girl, and suddenly, because I'm learning only night Seder, and I'm working the whole day, all of a sudden now I'm not good enough. I'm just as good as those guys that are learning half a day. I'm very focused on my learning, I'm very connected to my Rebbe. Like, why is that a problem? And why do you think that, like, do you think it's fair that girls are saying no to me and saying, like, oh, he's not in yeshiva?
I think there's definitely a, what do you call it, a plus or whatever. There is something called, being in a yeshiva environment. It's hard to compare. It's much more challenging to be like connected, super connected to Hashem, and with all its, with all its colors, while you are sitting in an office and working with clients, as it is to be sitting in Beis Medrash in front of the Gemara. So I think, of course, the person that is, working in the workforce and he's doing it, honestly, is tremendous. But I think it's very different than a person that is sitting in Beis Medrash and learning. So if a girl wants a guy that has that yeshiva, not experience. I think more like yeshiva surrounding. She wants him to be connected with a chabura. She wants him to be connected with a rav, with a mashgiach, with other guys that are learning, and that's the atmosphere that she wants him to be around. So I think it's very fair for her to have that request. If she just wants like a solid, good guy that learning is very, very important for him, then I think the other option is really good.
Okay, I have a question for you. Everybody, whatever comes to mind quickly, 2 words to describe somebody that's really close to you. 2 descriptive words about somebody that you are very close to. Please PM them.
Okay, that was quicker. Okay, so kind-hearted and understanding, loyal and trustworthy, real honest, caring and sensitive. Let's see, who else? Is that it?
Do we have time to wait for a few more?
We'll wait another 30 seconds.
Okay, while we're waiting for the rest of the people to put in their answers about a description of somebody that's close to them, I just want to thank everybody for joining us, and I hope this discussion was helpful and maybe having some clarity and maybe answering some questions. You could always join Rebbetzins, and you can always take advantage of our resources, and we'll be happy to help you, whether setting you up, whether getting you coaching, whether answering any other questions that you have.
Coming to events. Who doesn't want to come to an event?
I told you, I don't like events.
Especially if it's free, right?
Especially if it's free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to put the link on the page that they can go to?
Yeah, sure.
And you can just join very easily. It will take
Patient and easygoing. That was the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, Mrs. Charlap, can you please tell us about this study? Look at all these answers that came in. Well, there was a study that was made, and she's going to tell you about that.
So basically, I'm not really telling you about it, and I'm not here to make any more speeches. I just want you to, some live. Lasim lev, Rabbi Mushaiev.
Pay attention.
To note that all of those people that did answer the question about describing someone that's close to them, nobody mentioned anything about looks.
It was all characteristic
Something
traits.
that you can ponder, something that really is going to help you to know yourself. Sometimes you know yourself better when you're not being asked a direct question like what's important to you, but rather like in a roundabout way like I just did. So now you know, at least the people that answered, that those are what's really important to you. So that's that. Those are the things that you notice. Those are the things that make a difference to you. So I just left that as an exercise. You could try it out on your friends. And really happy that you joined us. And please keep in mind the Rebbetzins mantra of, I take the time to get to know myself and my own needs.